Welcome to episode 23 of the Resurrection Podcast. I am Acusio Bivona. Let's talk man-to-man today about a highly specific piece of your executive system architecture. You're a highly capable operator. You manage massive logistics, you carry the weight of a payroll, and you navigate high-stakes friction on a daily basis. Because you operate at this altitude, you're constantly given terrible advice by people who have never actually sat in your chair. When you get hit with a massive stressor, a sudden lawsuit, a key executive walking out, a severe shift in the market, the modern self-help world tells you to pause, breathe, and process your emotions. But that's civilian advice. Because when you're in the middle of a Tuesday afternoon board meeting and a grenade goes off in your operations, you can't stop and journal about it. You have to lead. You have to hold the frame. You have to execute, immediately. But here's the trap. Because you know you have to keep moving, you default to a mechanism that actively drains your engine. You suppress the hit. You swallow the stress. You plaster on a composed face, and you push through the afternoon. Today, we're going to draw a hard, definitive line between two entirely different mechanisms. We're going to look at suppression versus compartmentalization. One of them slowly degrades your biological edge and turns you into a rigid, exhausted passenger in your own life. The other is an elite executive skill. It's the exact upgrade that allows you to handle extreme pressure, execute flawlessly in the moment, and maintain a deeply connected, powerful presence when you walk through your front door at night. We aren't here to fix a broken machine. You're already winning. We're here to tune the engine, optimize the fuel, and make you entirely untouchable. We need to break down the mechanical difference between suppression and compartmentalization. Because from the outside, they look exactly the same. Both men are sitting at the head of the table, looking completely calm while the room is actively catching fire. But internally, their physiology is running entirely different software. Suppression is denial. When you suppress a massive stressor, you're telling your nervous system, this isn't happening. I don't feel this. I'm entirely unaffected. But your brain is incredibly intelligent, and it knows you're lying. When you shove a live issue down into your system and pretend it isn't there, your body still has to process the chemical reality of that stress. You're burning massive amounts of metabolic energy just to hold the lid down on that box. And think about the physical reality of this. Your shoulders get tight. Your breathing gets shallow. You might make it through the workday, but by the time you pull into your driveway, your bandwidth is entirely fried. You snap at your wife over a minor inconvenience. You can't focus on your kids. You pour a drink just to sedate the background noise. Your sleep is shallow, and your edge is completely dulled because you're secretly fighting a war inside your own body. Compartmentalization is the exact opposite. Compartmentalization is a high-level system upgrade. When a highly optimized man gets hit with a stressor during a critical moment, he doesn't deny it. He acknowledges it instantly. He looks at the friction and silently says, I see this. This is a massive problem, and I feel the hit. But I don't have the operational capacity to solve it right now. Then he takes that specific problem, puts it in a mental vault, locks the door, and sets a precise time to open it later. He isn't ignoring the check engine light. He's actively scheduling the maintenance for when he's back in the garage. Because he has acknowledged the truth of the situation and made a definitive plan to handle it, his nervous system doesn't panic. His body doesn't flood with cortisol. He retains 100% of his cognitive clarity and metabolic energy to finish the meeting, close the deal, and lead his team. I want to show you exactly what this looks like when a man installs this upgrade in the real world. Let's look at one of my private coaching clients, Corey. Corey is an absolute powerhouse. He manages a highly successful firm, he has a great family, and he's a guy who's already operating at a very high altitude. But a few months ago, he was running the Suppression software. Corey was dealing with a sudden, severe legal challenge involving a former business partner. It was ugly, and it was threatening a massive chunk of his equity. Every time his lawyer emailed him an update, usually right in the middle of his workday, Corey would read it, feel his stomach drop, and immediately suppress it. He would tell himself, "I don't have time for this right now," and dive back into his inbox. The result is he was surviving the days, but his physical presence was eroding. His workouts were suffering. He told me that he felt like he was walking around with a 50-pound vest on. And worse, he was bringing that suppressed, rigid energy home. He was physically sitting at the dinner table, but his wife could feel that he was a million miles away, silently grinding his gears. We didn't need to rebuild Corey from the ground up. We just needed to adjust his executive system architecture. We installed this compartmentalization framework, and I gave him a very specific directive. The next time the lawyer emailed during the day, he was not allowed to read it and suppress it. He had to look at the notification, acknowledge the threat, and physically write on a sticky note, "Partner legal issue. I will open this file and process the strategy at 4:30 p.m. He put the note in his desk drawer, and he closed the vault. The biological shift was instantaneous. Because Corey gave his brain a definitive scheduled time to handle the threat, his nervous system stood down. He reclaimed his daily bandwidth. He went back to leading his team with absolute, undeniable clarity. And at 4:30 p.m., he opened the drawer. He opened the email. He allowed himself to feel the frustration. He mapped out the tactical response, and he closed the file again before he drove home. When he walked through his front door, he wasn't carrying the legal battle in his chest. He was light. He was present. He was the composed, formidable husband and father his family deserved. He kept his edge, completely neutralized the stressor, and eventually won the legal dispute, entirely because he preserved his cognitive bandwidth. That's what happens when a man stops suppressing and starts compartmentalizing. He becomes a master of his own internal environment. Now let's look at exactly how you build this mental architecture. You're already an expert at organizing your business operations and delegating tasks. We're simply applying that exact same logistical discipline to your internal biology. Building the vault requires 3 very specific tactical steps to shift your brain out of a sympathetic stress response and into executive function. Step 1 is to intercept. You have an established habit of swallowing stress. You've done it for years because it kept you moving. The first step is simply catching the biological reflex. When the email comes in or the deal hits a massive roadblock, you will feel the immediate physiological drop in your stomach. Your heart rate will tick up. Don't ignore that physical shift. Intercept it. You look right at the friction and silently acknowledge it. This is a massive issue, and my body is reacting to it. You validate the threat instead of pretending you're made of stone. This simple acknowledgement instantly stops the massive dump of adrenaline because you're no longer fighting your own nervous system. Step 2 is a physical anchor. Your brain is designed to hold on to open loops until they're closed. If you just tell yourself, I'll think about this later, your brain doesn't believe you. It'll keep running the anxiety in the background, draining your metabolic energy and your cognitive bandwidth. You must move the data out of your head and into the physical world. Just like Corey, you write it down. You take a physical sticky note or a dedicated notebook on your desk and you write down the exact stressor. You offload the mental RAM. And step 3 is the time-bound lock. This is the most critical piece of the framework. You don't just put the note away. You assign it a highly specific execution time. You write process at 4:30 p.m. Then you put the note in a drawer and close it. You've now successfully vaulted the problem. Your nervous system recognizes that the threat has been identified, cataloged, and scheduled for neutralization. It completely releases the chemical tension, and you get your bandwidth back instantly. But here's the absolute rule of the vault. You must keep your word to yourself. At 4:30 p.m., you have to open the drawer. If you skip the appointment, your brain will realize the vault is a lie, and the next time a stressor hits, that suppression reflex will take over again. So you open the file, you process the emotion, you build the strategy, and then you close it for good. When you install this piece of your executive system architecture, it fundamentally changes how you move through the world. It makes you incredibly dangerous in the marketplace because nothing can knock you off your center. You can take massive hits during the day, vault them seamlessly, and keep executing with a completely clear head. You maintain your edge while everyone else in the room is burning out. But the absolute most powerful application of the vault happens at the end of the day. Think about your commute home. For most executives, that drive is just 30 minutes of grinding over the day's friction. By the time they pull into the driveway, they're physically tight, metabolically exhausted, and entirely unavailable for their family. We're going to completely optimize that transition. When you put your car in park in your driveway, you don't immediately walk inside. You take 60 seconds to run the vault. You acknowledge every unsolved operational problem, every lingering piece of friction from the office, and you mentally lock it in the vault until 8 a.m. the next morning. You consciously downregulate your nervous system. You leave the CEO in the car. You leave the logistics in the car. When you turn the key to your front door, you step inside as a fully present, highly energized man. Your wife gets a husband who is actually looking her in the eyes, not staring through her while he silently strategizes about Q3. Your kids get a father who has the physical and emotional bandwidth to actually play with them. You get to deeply enjoy the incredible life you have spent the last decade building. You already know how to win. You have the capital, you have the title, and you have the empire. Now, we just need to optimize the engine so you can actually enjoy the ride. If you look at your daily operations and realize you're leaking energy, suppressing stress, and bringing a rigid, exhausted presence into your home, it's time to install the upgrade. Go to coachkuz.com and apply for the Resurrection Strategy Call. I will be your red team. We will audit your current system architecture. We will locate exactly where you are bleeding bandwidth, and we will utilize the precise foundational frameworks of the Resurrection Protocol to optimize your internal environment, reclaim your edge, and make your presence absolutely undeniable. Tune the engine, rebuild the machine, resurrect the man. I am Acusio Bivona, and I will see you in the work.